What happened to Abdul Rahman Yusuf al-Qaradawi, the Egyptian poet, activist and the son of the late prominent scholar Yusuf Qaradawi? He's believed to have been extradited to the UAE after he was arrested in Lebanon on return from Syria. But why was he detained in Lebanon and extradited to the UAE, a country he has little to no affiliation to? Well, it's believed to be over this short video that he recorded in Syria following the fall of Bashar al-Assad. In the video, he wished the best for Syria in its newfound freedom and prayed God protect Syria from, quote, evil regimes and the Arab Zionists, the UAE, Saudi Arabia and Egypt.
وندعو الله أن يوفق الشعب السوري وقيادته الجديدة لمواجهة كل هذه التحديات الشريرة التي يخطط لها العالم أجمع، وعلى رأس المخططين والمتآمرين أنظمة الخزي العربي وصهاينة العرب في الإمارات والسعودية ومصر.
To understand what could happen to Abdul Rahman Yusuf and the legality of Lebanon's decision to grant the UAE's extradition request, we spoke to Haydee Dijkstal, one of the lawyers representing him, who expressed concern about this extradition. We spoke to her on Wednesday as reports were coming in that an Emirati plane was waiting for Abdul Rahman Yusuf in Beirut to take him to Abu Dhabi. Yesterday, the plane made the journey and he was believed to be on board, although there has been no official confirmation just yet.
My name is Haydee Dijkstal. I'm a barrister at 33 Bedford Row Chambers in London. I've been instructed as international counsel for Abdul Rahman al-Qaradawi in order to raise his case before the UN and other international law mechanisms. Abdul Rahman has an absolute right against torture and abuse, and Lebanon also has an absolute obligation under Article 3 of the Convention Against Torture, which it's a party to, not to extradite any individual, including Abdul Rahman, to a country where there's a substantial basis to understand that that person might be tortured. The most relevant states that are involved in this situation are Lebanon, which is holding Abdul Rahman al-Qaradawi, and also the UAE and Egypt, who have both submitted to the Lebanese authorities extradition requests, which we now have learned has been granted for the UAE. So those are the three countries that where international law has been raised and what their obligations are under international law. So the extradition requests from Egypt and the UAE came after Abdul Rahman was arrested on the Lebanese border when he was returning from Syria. He had traveled there to join the celebrations that so many people are involved in at the moment to express solidarity with the Syrian people for their newfound freedom. And while doing so, had recorded a self-recorded 3-minute video, posted it to Twitter, which primarily expressed joy and solidarity with the Syrian people, but also went on to express some concern and criticism for other countries in the region, which included the UAE and Egypt. What we understand from the information that the family has been able to learn is that the extradition request from the UAE was solely based on that self-recorded 3-minute video that was posted onto Twitter, and that the complaint that the Lebanese authorities and the request that they got was based on that video. So raising serious concerns about the right to free expression under international law, because by recording that video, by expressing concern and joy and criticism, that all falls within the protections of the right to free expression under international law. Now, the request that came from Egypt had its underlying basis. The reason for its request was slightly different, but quite similar at the same time, because it also did touch upon the right to free expression as well. In that case, it was concerning a 2017 judgment in which Abdul Rahman was tried in a group trial on charges that stemmed from social media posts that he had made, again, expressing concerns. He's a well-known critic. He's an artist, he's an activist, he's a poet. Through his art, he often expresses his opinions about social and political issues in the region, and had done so as well on social media, as so many people do and so many people have the right to do. But in Egypt, he was tried for that. He was convicted and given a 5-year sentence. Now, that conviction was in absentia. He was living in Turkey at the time. So Egypt, when he was arrested in Lebanon, then made an extradition request based on that prior judgment. But again, going back to the same issue under international law, these were social media posts that he was convicted over. And under international law, exercising one's right to free expression should never be the basis for an investigation or prosecution or imprisonment. The decision from Lebanon that we're now aware of is that yesterday the Lebanese cabinet and prime minister made a decision to grant the extradition request from the UAE. Why that request was granted as opposed to Egypt's request, that is unclear. The family doesn't have information on that. And I think it's actually raised even more concerns because while both extradition requests were based on illegitimate underlying complaints under international law, as I explained before, with the right to free expression, the one from the UAE was particularly concerning because it was based off of a 3-minute video that was put onto Twitter. There was also the family wasn't clear about whether there's actually charges or an officially open investigation, and whether or not this is just merely a complaint from the authorities in the UAE, or if it's actually based on some charges. There hasn't been information the family's been able to confirm on that.
Abdul Rahman is a Turkish citizen, so we also asked what Turkey's role in this might be.
Abdul Rahman is a Turkish citizen, and he resides in Turkey as well. He is also Egyptian and had lived in Egypt for some time. As far as his connection to the UAE, I don't have any information that he does have a clear connection beyond. I'm unaware of whether he's traveled there before, but any kind of personal connection that would tie him to the UAE. From the information that I have, I understand that the Turkish government has been involved in dialogue with the Lebanese authorities. The Turkish consulate and embassy staff have been able to visit him and support him in detention. And there also have been meetings with Lebanese authorities, including with ambassadors as well. And so Turkey has been speaking to the Lebanese authorities about this situation and has taken the position that he should be deported back to Turkey as a Turkish citizen.
We also asked Haydee if the decision was politically motivated and if it might be linked to his late father, Yusuf al-Qaradawi.
His arrest in Lebanon and the reasons that are being given for why he's sought in the UAE in particular, but also in Egypt, fall within a demonstrated pattern of crackdown on free speech in both countries. This is something that's been widely reported by human rights organizations for a long time, but there's been a repressive pattern where individuals exercise the right to free expression by posting opinions and concerns on social media. And then that is used as the basis, not only for extraditions, but also for arrests in both countries, and also detentions, prosecutions, imprisonment. It's something that's quite concerning, and that's something that we've raised to the special rapporteurs as having indications from the information that his case falls within that pattern as well. Now, the way under international law that it's assessed whether there is this substantial basis to believe that somebody might be tortured, the UN has given guidance to say that you can look at human rights reports and consistent patterns that are being reported by human rights organizations of torture. So when looking back at the human rights record and pattern in both the UAE and Egypt, what we see is consistent reports over an extended period of time. This is not just defined to a certain period, but systematically in both countries, where in particular political prisoners who are detained are tortured and abused in detention. And what we've raised to UN special rapporteurs is when looking at those reports about political prisoners whose profile is quite similar to Abdul Rahman and what he would be facing in either of those countries, it demonstrates that there's a real and foreseeable risk that he will be tortured and abused if he is extradited to either of those countries. And as we know now, that country is going to be the UAE. So what seems to be clear at the moment, we raised on the 3rd of January that there was this risk, that Lebanon had this obligation under international law, but now it's decided, nevertheless, to move forward with granting the extradition and allowing it to happen now. So what is clear to us now is that Lebanon is in breach of its obligations under international law, and specifically under the Convention Against Torture and Article 3 of that convention. Families and individuals who are detained should have all the information that they need in order to fully understand the process. So that also has been a difficult part for both the family and Abdul Rahman as well.